As I understand, the work that you're involved in with the Democracy Project at the Brennan Center is focused on protecting our American system. Governor, you've been involved for a while now. What have you learned?
What we have looked at and found, it's an undermining of normal behavior, things that we as Americans thought was just a given, that people would act in a certain way. It's happened over the years. It's not about this administration, it's happened on a number of administrations. For instance, nepotism. It was always assumed that nepotism wasn't going to be an issue. And then the President Kennedy appointed his brother as the Attorney General. That's when Congress then acted and put in the no nepotism law, but there was nothing that applied to that and no standards for the White House. Now we see a White House that is full of family members. That creates a very different dynamic, and those appointees in the White House don't go through any kind of Senate confirmation. There are no standards for what their background should be given and their knowledge should be given, responsibilities that they seem to have.
Do you sense the public has a complacency about all of this, because you're indicating it's been going on for so long? It's become a way of life in government.
Well, people, unfortunately, these days don't have much faith in government. They expect a lot of bad behavior, and you want to say, no, that's not the standard to which we should be holding ourselves. We are better than this, and we need to remind people of that. We've taken a lot of it for granted, too. We just assume people are going to act in a certain way, and then we're surprised when they don't, and then when it starts happening again and again, because as I say, this isn't new in many of it, because we just didn't feel we had to be so firm on what people could or couldn't do, because they'd act the right way. And when they don't, we're surprised, but then we kind of say, well, that's politics.
So what needs to be done? What needs to be changed? Help us understand where this should be going.
Well, I mean, Citizens United needs to be changed, frankly. That piece of legislation that has been held up in the courts thus far, that allows, well, it was a court decision, Citizens United, that upheld the ability of these outside organizations to put a lot of money into races. It equated the freedom of association that an individual gets under the Constitution. He gave that to corporations, to labor unions. It treats them as individuals, which I don't think is right, frankly. They're not. They're made up of individuals, but they are not individuals. And back away from that. Even if you allow them this ability to put a lot of money in, they still should have to disclose who they are.
Well, I've read about your comments about your concerns that information from the government gets through to the people. What have you learned about that, and how concerned are you? How concerned should we be?
Well, I think we should be concerned. One of the things, of course, we look at and have been looking at is when the public funds particular research, they should be able to see it at the end of the day. It shouldn't be hidden for political reasons. And we see that happening more and more, where you have scientific data that is changed for political reasons, that...
for political reasons?
For political reasons, yes, to promote an agenda, a particular agenda. And the public ought to see it all. They ought to be able to see what the science is on one side and the other, so that they can start to make some intelligent judgments about what they think is important and what they don't. But there's no requirement now that protects that data or makes it available, even under the Freedom of Information Act. It's hard to get at it. And so one of the things that we've been looking at is how do you rewrite the regs that would ensure that if it's publicly funded, if we're the ones that have paid for it, we ought to be able to see it.
Well, Governor Whitman, thank you very much for enlightening us on this current topic. It's of interest to all of us.
Thank you.